Jumpin' In on Manx Radio.
With Howard and Chris Kane.
Hello.
Good evening.
And welcome. Yes, it is indeed that time again, would you believe? It is 9 o'clock. It is a Saturday night. It is a spooky edition of Jumpin' In with myself, Horrible H.
And me, Criminal Chris. Welcome along to this week's spectacular, or do I mean spooktacular show. The curtains are drawn, the lights are dimmed, it's cold outside. You're just snuggled up when the doorbell rings. Trick or treat, the choice is yours. Do you answer the door, part with handfuls of your hard-earned sweeties, or risk the tricks of the already hyper sugar-filled demons on your step? Or do you pretend you're out, slip on the headphones and envelop yourself in an hour or so of some of the best modern and contemporary jazz sounds around, which, as you'll already be aware, is a guaranteed treat. So, H, what's popped out of your pumpkin patch this week, or is that a moot point?
Terrible, terrible. I am going to try to speak no evil with Wayne, of course. I'm going to have some music from a devil quartet and a bit of magico.
And from me, terror, spooks, the trickster, and to start off flying, here's the old broom heron herself, the witch. fantastic sound of Sweden's finest, the Norrbotten Big Band, under the leadership of composer and then director Örjan Follström, blowing away any cobwebs that might have gathered with The Witch, taken from their 1994 album Animations, which contained two separate commissions for the band. The first, a soundtrack for the 1922 silent animated film Witchcraft from Through the Ages, from which we just heard The Witch, with featuring a very fine alto solo there from Håkan Broström, who also directed the band for a period. And secondly, a concerto for organ and big band, which is very fine too. Animations was the band's second album, and they now have a catalogue of some 23 albums with a veritable who's who of guests. Well worth a listen. And a number of times we talk about the difficulties of keeping big bands going, but you find some of these national big bands soldier on regardless, don't they? And they pull all kinds of people together, so worth digging in.
Most certainly is. It is our spooky hop-tu-naa jumping in this evening, all themed along that wonderful time of year. I love it, I must admit. All things witchy, ghouly, magic, evil, black and otherwise. And none better than, of course, Wayne Shorter. Speak No Evil. As it were, a fantastic album, of course, with a fantastic lineup. Freddie Hubbard, Wayne himself, Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Elvin Jones. Inspired by, well, lots of musicians over the years have taken this thoughts of mystery and darkness, and the collection on Speak No Evil followed a similar vein. Wayne said, I was thinking of misty landscapes with wild flowers and strange, dimly seen shapes, the kind of places where folklore and legends are born. And then I was thinking of things like witch burnings too. What can I say? From the album, here's Dance Cadaverous. It is a dance, but it's a dance cadaverous from Wayne Shorter's classic 60s album Speak No Evil on Blue Note, of course. Wayne Shorter, composer and leading on tenor sax, Freddie Hubbard on trumpet, Herbie Hancock piano, Ron Carter bass, Elvin Jones at the drums. It's one of those albums you just can't go wrong with. Classic stuff, Witch Hunts and Speak No Evil itself. And, well, yes, if you haven't got it in your collection, then you're missing out, is all I can say. And a perfect fit, of course, for a hop-tu-naa special.
Now, straight on the back of Wayne, calming your nerves, what do the following have in common? Things that go bump in the night, a creaking door in an empty house, or the latest gas bill? Only one thing: terror. Inspired by 7 short stories by writer Junichiro Tanizaki, that was Terror, taken from UK bassist Joe Downard's debut release, 7 Japanese Tales, which came out last year. Fantastic album, this, with the very best of young British jazz talent on display. The constantly varied and exciting set of original compositions features James Copus on trumpet, Alex Hitchcock on tenor, Will Barry on the piano, and it's all woven seamlessly together by Rupert Cox on a variety of analogue synths, and Felix Ambach on the drums, not of course to forget Joe Downard on the bass. A great debut this, and I think if you Joe is one to watch. He's actually released also now a remix of all the tracks, which is a totally different take on his original compositions a year later.
Fantastic stuff. Hubble, bubble, boil and trouble. You're listening to Chris and H with the hop-tu-naa special Jumping In. From something new to something much older. I promised you some magic. Well, actually, some magico. Still sounds good, casting a magic spell after all these years. Recorded June 1979, would you believe? Well over 40 years ago. Incredible to think, and so remember it coming out, which is even more worrying, I think. Charlie Hayden on bass, Jan Garbrick sax, and Egberto Gismonti on guitar, and the album Magico. Terrific stuff, and yes, still casts a spell over me now. And,
of course, there was a live album recorded later, wasn't there, which is worth picking up as well.
There was, yeah. I think it might even be a double, that.
It is a double, yeah. Next for me are the classic Ian Carr and Don Rendell Quintet release, Duskfire. Here's Spooks. Recorded back in 1966 and still sounding fresh out of the box. That was Spooks from Duskfire by the Ian Carr and Don Rendell quintet at the time. The band was the hot ticket on the London scene, featuring as it did all the young lions of the day. Ian Carr on trumpet, of course, widely regarded as the UK's answer to Miles, and this group obviously a forerunner to the groundbreaking Nucleus. Don Rendell on saxes and woodwinds, Michael Garrick on the piano, the magnificent Dave Green on bass, Trevor Tompkins on the drums. This has been reissued in all formats at many times, and most recently I think a heavy duty vinyl release, but I think the best option if you don't have any of this is the box set, where the album sits alongside Shades of Blue, Phase 3 and Change Is, everyone worth the entry price on their own right.
Terrific. And as you say, both those pieces, you think that music 50 years old, and before that 40 years old, still both of them sounding fresh as paint. Black paint in this particular instance, of course, which is a mark, I think, of quality music, in my book, in any case. Chris and H, Jumpin In, hop-tu-naa special. Something from the Devil Quartet, Paolo Fresu's Devil Quartet. We heard from him a couple of weeks back, I think, in the Italian special. Well, here they are with Devil's Game and Labbra Bianchi.
Hi, this is Seamus Blake. You're listening to Jumpin In on Manx Radio.
And that is on the album, that tack, tack, tack. That either sounds like a gramophone needle stuck or perhaps a metronome beat, probably the latter, I dare say. Bats! You can't have a hop-tu-naa special without bats, can you? From the wonderful Costumes Are Mandatory album. Ethan Iverson, Larry Grenadier, Jorge Rossi on the drums. Before that, the Devil Quartet of Paolo Fresu. Cracking album that one is as well. Mostly in Italian, all the notes as well. Interesting enough, even though it's on Blue Note. Paolo Fresu on trumpet and electronics. Bobo Ferra on electric guitar and effects as well. Paolino Dalla Porta on bass and Stefano Bagnoli at the drums.
Great stuff. Well, if the bats have left you on a sticky wicket, that's about it for this week's chilling Halloween special edition of Jumpin' In. But in case you're all out of treats, we'll leave you with Aaron Parks and his band from the 2007 album Little Big. Here's Trickster. See you next week for a bonfire night fun.
You be careful out there.
Ooh.